During the 2015 presidential election, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, in his capacity as governor of Kano State, delivered 1.9 million votes to the All Progressives Congress (APC) to seal the victory of Muhammadu Buhari over the incumbent Nigerian president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. The number of electoral votes declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) raised eyebrows and got many wondering how Buhari amassed that number of votes from just one state in the north. However, supporters of Buhari argued at the time that this was made possible by Kwankwaso and his formidable Kwankwasiyya Movement in Kano, which had decamped from the ruling People's Democratic Party (PDP) to APC a year earlier. Surprisingly, Kwankwaso was later to fall out with Buhari, his successor in office, Abdullahi Ganduje, and the APC, forcing him to return to the PDP, where he tried unsuccessfully to clinch the presidential ticket of the party to contest the 2019 election. In the 2019 Kano State governorship election, his attempt to install Abba Kabir Yusuf of the PDP as the next governor was also shockingly truncated when INEC stopped the counting of votes that showed Yusuf with a clear lead over Ganduje and declared the election inconclusive. A supplementary election conducted 2 weeks later enabled Ganduje to recoup and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat by a narrow margin of 8,982 votes. Ever since, Kwankwaso has cooled his political heels and has been engaged in several philanthropic activities targeted at poverty alleviation and the education of indigent children in his home state. Joining us now from Abuja to discuss his next political move, the bickering over the power shift, the Kwankwasiyya Movement and its influence on Kano politics, the crisis within the PDP and the party's national convention scheduled to take place this weekend, is Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. Good morning, Senator Kwankwaso, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning, Senator Kwankwaso, and thank you for joining us. First, let's congratulate you on your 65th birthday and say many happy returns. And now straight to business. The PDP National Convention is supposed to hold tomorrow. But the various papers are reporting that there is uncertainty within the party. Now, in the course of all these analysis and conversation, some people have said, well, you are one of the supporters of the suspended chairman, which is Secondus, urging him on to go the whole way, the whole hog, to take the party to court and insist on his rights. And some people say within the party that the reason that is so is because you are planning to defect again from the PDP to the APC. I know that in July you had denied that, your spokesperson denied that. But are these allegations correct? And if it is true that you may at some point return to the APC, are you going to find accommodation within that party, considering the fact that your former deputy, who is now governor of Kano State, probably doesn't want to see you around the party, or even around the party in Kano in particular?
It's a pleasure seeing you, and good morning, Nigerians. Let me say that I'm still a member of the PDP. Of course, when the issue started in PDP, my candid advice was that Secondus and his team should be allowed to conclude their term, especially that they had just a couple of months to complete their term. And if the advice has been adhered to, probably the issue of uncertainty that you mentioned wouldn't have been the case. In any case, today we are told by noon the judgment will be out, either to continue or to stop the convention. But whatever the case, the uncertainty certainly is not good for the party, because we have so many people who ordinarily would have been on their way or here in Abuja for the convention. But right now they are elsewhere waiting to hear the conclusion or the verdict of the court. In any case, to answer your question on the issue of defection, I am a member of the PDP, and we will continue to work together with my colleagues in the party. That's where we are. And on the issue of the birthday, I thank you very much. And how time flies, I remember 30 years ago, I was Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps. And at that time, I was just over 30. Now I'm already 65. So we thank Almighty God for sparing my life, for the good health, and of course, for the modest achievements that we had in various capacities that I found myself in the last 30 years. And let me also say that celebrating birthdays is not really in our culture here, but when it started some years back, I realized that there is a lot that can be done in terms of initiating projects and programs that my foundation, together with my friends, can do for humanity, not only in Kano State, but across the country. I'm sure you are aware that in the last few days, we commissioned 2 blocks of classrooms in Nasarawa State, in Kano local government, to support education in that part of the country. And in Kano, we built a sanatorium for the young men and women who found themselves in drugs, and also built a mosque for one of the towns that we have in my local government. And we had also a colloquium which was attended by so many friends, brothers and sisters across the country. But before the last year, we were able to establish a school on my farm in Kano State, in one of the remote areas of the state. And the school was mainly for the children of the Fulani who settled on the farm. And I was surprised that when we opened the school, children of school age on the farm and around the farm, first admission we had over 300 children of school age that were admitted. And my thinking then was that if nomadic education has been working in the country, many of the issues that we have today in terms of herders and farmers' clashes wouldn't have been the case. And I'm so happy that we are doing this on a yearly basis. And I believe that's the main reason why we are celebrating the birthday. So every year, like now, we are beginning to look around and see what can be done for the humanity before next year.
Right. Yes, you've had quite a storied career, Senator, from the reference you just made now to your time as Deputy Speaker. You've been Minister for Defense, you've been Governor of Kano State, and of course, the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm sure we want to go into your career a little more later, but I have another question for you about PDP. Do you feel that the current wrangling, whatever the outcome of the court may be later on today, has weakened the party and its capacity to take power from the ruling party, APC, realistically? Because you'll recall, well, you know better than anybody, what the APC coalition had going for it against the incumbent party then, PDP, was its unity.
Well, it's absolutely right that in 2014, we joined forces together to wrestle power, believing that there would be a positive change in the country. And that has been done successfully. But along the line, some issues cropped up. And as you rightly pointed out, some of us who were in the coalition, in the APC then, decided that we should return to our party and see what can be done in the party. And I'm so happy that that was done. And one of the primary reasons why I decided to come back to PDP was the local issue in Kano, which we thought the main issues at that time, even the issue that we had in the party then, had to do with the what was happening in the state. And we decided to bring change, positive change in Kano State at that particular time. We have successfully done that. Everybody knows it in this country. But for whatever reason, the powers that be at that particular time decided that the government had to continue. And we, in the PDP at that time, and of course Kwankwasiyya, decided that we shouldn't do anything that would create unnecessary insecurity in the state and by extension the country. And I'm happy to say that our group, our party is well prepared to take over government in Kano State. And things being equal, we are also working within the PDP family across the country, preparing for 2023. Of course, there are issues in the party today, and I believe that head or tail, at the end of the day, that is after the convention, whenever it comes, either this weekend or any other time, the party should be able to put its acts together to form a formidable team that can wrestle power from the APC at all levels.
I just want to ask you this, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. What's your relationship now with the governor of Kano State, Governor Ganduje?
Well, on personal ground, there is just no issue. But on the issue of governance, certainly we are not satisfied with what the government is doing. And probably that was even the genesis of the negative relationship that started immediately he was elected. There are certain things that they are doing which does not conform with our belief, does not conform with our ideology. Take, for example, the issue of debt. In Kwankwasiyya, we don't believe in borrowing except when it is extremely, extremely necessary. And I'm happy to say that when I was governor in 1999 to 2003, I did not borrow one single kobo or naira from anybody, both local and international. And on the contrary, we paid every naira that was being borrowed by my predecessors at that particular time. So also when I went back in 11. In 2011, we met a lot of debt, especially that the ones that were borrowed just before we went in, at least $200 million from the World Bank on some issues like malaria or mosquito and so on. We asked our commissioners to go and follow due process with the World Bank and other organizations. And before we left, we settled every naira. We paid 100%. And of course, all what we did in Kano, in terms of projects, programs, and so on and so forth, especially in the educational sector, the 2 universities were established, hundreds of towns and villages that were able to put rural electrification, the flyovers, the underpasses, dualization of roads, street lights, drainages, health care, and especially in education. We were feeding our children every working day in our schools. We are giving them 2 sets of uniform. Anytime we are admitting our students, we sent over 2,650 young men and women across 14 countries of the world. We sent our children to the private universities. Al-Kalam University in Katsina, we sent 412 We sent our children to Ignitium University, about 300, Bells University, about 250, even the Crescent University, 200, Abti University, 25, and so on and so forth. We selected 4 universities, 3 of them the federal universities, Maiduguri, Ahmadu Bello University, Sokoto University, and so on. We built 300 bed capacity hostels free of charge for them, just to to admit our students from Kano. So, and we built 2 universities, Kano University of Science and Technology. We built Northwest University. We established 26 institutes, manpower and training institutes in Kano, and so many other things. And all that we did with our resources that we had from IGR and whatever was allocated to us from Abuja. So we don't believe in borrowing anything from anybody. And for the 2 times, 2003 and 2015 that I left the government, there was no one single debt for Kano State, 0. And I can tell you, earlier this year, our investigation shows that Kano State is indebted to about 185 billion naira. And that is not acceptable in our own arrangement. Some of the projects that were being claimed to have been done were projects, in our opinion, that were not necessary. You don't borrow money to go and start building things that are not necessary now, as far as our movement is concerned. So there are many other issues that really is not in conformity with what we believe. And in any case, we are so happy that we are out of APC in 2019, and we have shown our capacity, because everybody knows that we won that election in Kano State. There is no question about it. And what follows now is history. And we are so happy that 2023 is around the corner now, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, Senator, it's good you refer to Kwankwasiyya, which is the political movement under which you play politics, particularly in Kano State. But there are some people who are very critical of Kwankwasiyya. They say it's nothing more than a political cult rather than a movement. Now, you know, what exactly is Kwankwasiyya? What's the philosophy behind it? And, you know, where is the state of Kwankwasiyya now that in Kano State, the incumbent governor does not want to hear the word Kwankwasiyya?
Thank you very much, Ruben. The issue of Kwankwasiyya, as far as Kano State government is concerned, they are part of us. But because of some of these differences, ideological differences, that's why maybe we are not working together with them now. But they all know what Kwankwasiyya has done for them. And let me say that Kwankwasiyya is not just in Kano. Kwankwasiyya is all over the country and even beyond. And I'm happy to say that, Ruben, even in your house, if you check, maybe you find some members of your either family or extended family, either your driver or your security man or your cook or somebody, even in the house, is a member of Kwankwasiyya. Now, let me say that this Kwankwasiyya started very, very long time ago, at least the 30 years I mentioned. 1992, when I was Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps, we started building the group from my local government to the senatorial district, to Kano State, later to Northwest, to the North, and to entire country. And I can assure you, we even have many branches outside this country, in many African countries, even in Europe, and so on and so forth. Now, it's just a matter of ideology. You see, our father, our leader, our mentor, Malam Aminu Kano of blessed memory, started what we thought was the best, not only for Kano, but for this country. Kano started by convincing all of us at that particular time that government should cater for the needy. Government should ensure that the old, the very old, the very young, the talakawas, that's the masses, and all those who are in need should be the priority of government, and see how best government can support them. And that we have demonstrated when we were in government. And let me tell you, many people would ask the question of why many people, especially the young men and women across the country, are in full support of Kwankwasiyya. You see, the secret is simple. It is that anyone, all of them, each and every one of them, very much believe that once we get, they will get. Once we get an opportunity to govern, we will service their interest. And that is why you see them anywhere, anytime, very much committed and determined to support the cause. Not because of me or any other person, but because of them. Because they have seen what we have done practically in terms of security, in terms of education, because our policy, if you ask me what is our priority, I will always tell you that education has always been our priority. And that is where we are. And that is the only way out. With education, you will kill so many birds with one stone. Meaning all this, the issue of poverty, which breeds insecurity, which breeds so many other things. And we have now, and we have always been in support of education, either in government or outside government, because that is what we believe, what we very much believe. Let me tell you, Ruben, when we left government, especially after the 2019 election, we realized that the government, which was part of Kwankwasiyya in Kano, decided that to go on the other side. And when we had the election, we realized that it was only the young men and women mainly who benefited from other educational programs, or those who have benefited from other projects and programs that came out despite the fact that we had no state government, no local governments, and of course no federal government. We worked together with them, and we defeated the sitting government that had the federal might and everybody. So we realized that the only way out is, if you were guessing before 2019, the point was that by 2019 election, we are very much sure that education, it was the only way, not only for the people, even for us in the politics. And that was why I invited all my friends across the country and even beyond, and supported and selected some people, some young men and women who had first-class result in their first degree, and we supported them to go to other countries of the world to do their masters. And excuse me, the 370 of them are already back. So we are so happy, and we'll continue to do that anytime we have an opportunity to do it.
Well, Senator, we need to take a short break, and then when we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. The conversation with Senator Kwankwaso will continue shortly.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still with Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. Senator, are you with us?
Yes, please.
Thank you for staying with us. So my question for you, sir, is on rotational presidency. Do you think that it's a pragmatic step that addresses the Nigerian peculiarities, or are you on the side of a strict meritocracy? And I'm not speaking generally, I'm speaking specifically with regards to the 2023 presidential elections. What are your thoughts on what zone it should go to? That is, if you're in support of zoning.
Thank you very much. I believe the Constitution is very clear that we have the North and the South. If the president comes from one side of the country, the vice president should come from the other. And the issue of where the president or vice president comes from is purely an issue of party. The parties themselves should sit down and strategize and, of course, get or agree on where their president or vice president should come from. In my opinion, that has nothing to do with any forum. It has nothing to do with any union or association, be it governors forum or whatever forum. It has to do with the party. That's the main responsibility. Every party wants to win an election. Any responsible party will sit down at the particular time and decide under its own circumstance where the president will come from. And I was surprised and shocked when I saw some of the, in fact, all the governors of the South and later governors from the North taking decision on that. And for those of us who are in politics, those of us, especially those of us from Kano who are conversant with democracy, we find it difficult to even understand why such forums should decide in sitting to take decision within a region, not minding the political parties. Let me say that in 1993 election, when we were in SDP, coincidentally, the presidential candidate of the NRC was from Kano. Not only from Kano, we come from the same local government, and of course, the polling booth. We were in the same polling booth with my leader, Alhaji Bashir Tofa, at that time. But because of the political orientation that we had, we don't believe in all these divides when it comes to politics, be it religious or sectional or anything. At that time, Abiola from Lagos or Ogun State was our candidate of SDP. And I'm sure everybody will remember how we went back to Kano and many other northern states to mobilize for MKO Abiola of blessed memory. And we won in my polling booth, which was also the polling booth of our leader, Alhaji Bashir Tofa, and our local government and the state. And I'm sure many people will also remember in 1999 when we went to Jos for presidential primary election. At that time, I was governor-elect of Kano State. Our leader, Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memory, was one of the aspirants. And we told him very clearly that we felt at that particular time Chief Olusegun Obasanjo should be the candidate of our party, the SDP, at that time. And in fact, 1 week before the primaries, we decided to move our candidates, our delegates from Kano to Kaduna. That time we had all these mobile phones and so on. We were able to successfully hide the delegates for Chief MKO Abiola, Chief Obasanjo. We went to Jos, and at Jos we solidly en bloc supported Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. He became our candidate. We went and voted for him. At that time, even people from his ward and his local government and his zone, and even the South, especially the Southwest, didn't believe in what we were doing. And Obasanjo won that election. And he performed wonderfully well. So when we see people at this point in time regionalizing where the party has to put, all parties should put their presidential candidates, we sometimes feel disappointed. And I don't believe that that is the work of any governor or any forum of governors to decide whether it should come from the south or from the north. I am in politics, and I see right from the beginning, even when I was doing Kano politics, I look at Nigeria because I know without Nigeria that there will be no politics at that level. So I think people should learn from experiences. We shouldn't be tearing ourselves. I will not go to a meeting of other political parties to sit down and decide and say North has to have president or vice president. I think what is important is for the party and party leaders in all the parties to sit down and decide on where they will put for strategic reasons. I don't believe in all these things that will divide us. What is important is to have one united, prosperous Nigeria where everybody is free, where everybody is secured, not only him, but his properties, everything in this country. That's why I'm in politics. I had many reasons. I had many, you can see on many occasions, we support people from the South. And that is not to say we are from the South, but that is, we believe that that is the best at that particular time. And each election cycle, when it comes, you find some peculiarities. Like in 1999, we all believe that for some obvious reasons, presidency should go to the South, especially the Southwest for many obvious reasons. And in 2003, we also believe that Chief Olusegun Obasanjo should continue. It was only fair for him to do his second term, despite the pressure from so many angles, even from this part of the country. In 2007, it was only fair, as far as PDP was concerned, to allow a northerner to be the president of this country. And that was exactly what happened. But along the line, the late Umar Musa Yar'Adua died, and our leader, Jonathan, took over, and so on and so forth. So I don't believe in what some people are doing, because I know they will only succeed in just dividing us in the line of north-south. You see, in politics, the link between individuals and groups is stronger than all other relationships. Even if somebody is in your blood brother, when you are talking politics, if he comes, if he's not with you, he's not with you, he stays outside. But your brother from the south, east, south, southwest, or anywhere, that's your brother. You sit down, work together. Maybe you are a candidate or aspirant, they support you, and you go out there and win election. So I was really surprised when they started bringing this sort of dichotomy, which doesn't help them and which doesn't help anybody. In my opinion, that is the responsibility of the political parties that we have in this country.
Okay. In all fairness, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, do you think power should come to the South in 2023? And secondly, will you be running for presidency in 2023?
You see, the responsibility of who, not only where, who becomes the president in 2023 is the responsibility of our parties. If PDP decides, not the way the governor sat down in either Lagos or in the north to decide on the north and south, that doesn't convince me at all. The parties should look at their circumstances. The parties should strategize, especially the PDP, which is in opposition. PDP has to understand, and of course all other parties, that they don't have federal government, and federal government goes with so many things, especially the INEC. Unfortunately, they go with even security agencies, because that's what we have seen in Kano in 2019. They also go with a lot of resources and so on and so forth. So in my opinion, PDP and all other parties must strategize as an opposition party and realize the best thing to do. And people should not think in PDP that, yes, there were mistakes that PDP has done in the past, but now APC is doing even worse. I mean, the election shouldn't be between bad and very bad. It should be on other issues. And I think that is what will convince Nigerians to come out and vote. And you see, some of these actions of politicians or even political parties have made so many people in this country to be disenchanted to the extent that if you look at the figures from INEC, you find that just a small percentage of registered voters are now going out to vote. In some states in 2019, we had even less than 20% of registered voters who went out to do accreditation in some states. Because if you put just people you like, and if you don't put what the voters want to come and vote for, you will continue to have voter apathy across the country. Now, I think in 2023, in my opinion, based on the realities on the ground, if we have two parties running, PDP and APC and other parties, at the end of the day, many people will not go and have the elections, and the only motivation probably is when you have the right candidate that is supported by the people. And these are some of the things that the political parties must note, that you don't put your friend, you don't put your brother, you don't put the one you like. It's a competition. You have to put your best. If you don't put your best, you think your friend is friend of voters, then you are making a mistake. And I think that is very key for all the political parties, especially those who are in the opposition. In Nigerian politics, you find many people in government, especially those who have a national government, boasting that they will write, they will do this and do that. That will be extremely difficult in 2023. The young men and women in this country will not allow those sorts of things to happen, especially based on experiences that have happened in many parts of the country, especially in Kogi, in Kano, and many other parts of the country. People, I believe, this time around are ready to come out and defend their votes. So I think what is key is to ensure that the parties look at the facts on the ground, put it at the right zone, and put the right people as candidates.
Okay, are you running for presidency 2023?
Well, I have not taken that decision yet, because there are so many things that are very much unknown now. And before you take such a big decision, you have to make all the necessary consultations, you have to make contacts, you have to look around and see what on the ground. And once you take that decision, you make it known to everybody. But you see, I am in politics first and foremost as a politician. Secondly, the issue of contest or appointment is just secondary. And that is why you find anytime I realize that things are not well, I don't stay because I want to get a contract or I want to get appointment. I was in government in 2011 when I left the party or the government party. And I was also in APC when I decided to leave and go back to opposition. So it's not a matter of position. I'm not in party just to get a position alone. We are in the government, we are in the politics to bring positive changes. We have people in this country today who are not sure of whether they will be attacked today or tomorrow. We have so many people who cannot eat today, and nobody is talking about them. We have, especially in the north, so many millions of people. Recently, we have had about 12 million children in the country who are even afraid to go to school. These are the issues. If anybody can do it better than me, I'll be very happy to support that person. And I hope that if people, my colleagues, my friends, believe that I can do it better than them, they should come and support me. So the issue now is not an issue of a Hausa man, Yoruba, Igbo, North, South. You see, we have to get the right caliber of people to do the job. Because there are two issues now. The issue is of who can win the election. And secondly, who can do the job. Because these are two issues. You can win the election and you go there and you cannot do anything. People will like you, especially when it comes to the issue of the delegates, which everybody knows what is happening or what was happening. People will go and buy delegates, talk to few people and get it. So I am so happy that people are now talking of direct primaries. We should allow people to go on. Even though in 2019, in 1999, our primary election as governor was direct primary. And we had some issues. It was very cumbersome. It was issues and so on and so forth. But now that I'm in position to compare the two, what happened in 2019 in our primary election and what has been happening from 2003 to the last primary election, I believe that we need to try the direct primaries.
Well, Senator, you've said some of the things you would like you to comment further on, but to be specific as we begin to round up in the remaining few minutes, what are your thoughts on the performance of the Buhari administration? And were you to run for president and become president?
Sorry, it's cut off.
I said, what are your thoughts? Your thoughts on the performance of the Buhari administration? And if you were to be president of Nigeria in the future, what are those specific things that you focus on?
Thank you very much. You see, under normal circumstances, we take the issue of security for granted. And as former Minister of Defense, who had the opportunity to be an extended member of military family in this country, really, I was really surprised. I was worried with what was still happening in the country in terms of security. So instead of saying education, and education, I believe that education cannot be effective if you don't have security. So I believe the issue of security is key. And I think the mistake many people, especially the leaders, are making is to take the issue of security in terms of the military and other security agencies only. The issue of security does not stop there. It includes the issue of food security, job security, even the issue of health, and so on and so forth. If somebody is poor, if you don't have anything to eat, you don't have job, you have finished your school, and you don't have anything to do, big problem. And that too is on its own will generate insecurity, and so on and so forth. So government must look at all that, including even the politics itself. If you are elected on a particular platform, a particular party, you are not the president or governor of that party. You are the president or governor of that country or that state. And therefore, you have to look at people within your party and even beyond. At least you have to be fair and just. At least you have to do the right thing. There are certain things that you have to do in terms of everybody within the confines of your constituency. Especially as it relates to security, you have to protect your people, not minding who voted for you and who didn't vote for you. You have to look at the issue of health, you have to look at the issue of education, and so on and so forth. And if you put all those things together, it will result in what we call the security. In a civilized society, even members of the opposition and people in government have got a meeting point. We all go to the same market. We all our children go to the same school. We go to the same airports and we follow the same roads. If the roads are bad, it affects everybody. If the prices are too high, they affect everybody. And so on and so forth. And above all, there must be fairness and justice between everybody. And that, in my opinion, will help in terms of bringing people together. And the issue of military in particular, you see, if you don't carry everybody, if you are only talking to your party members or some of people who are in your party, and by extension you find ministers, advisors, chief executives, everybody is on his own. And the largest chunk is being neglected. They don't even know who to report if they see any criminal activities elsewhere. They don't know what to do. And that's where you have issue of intelligence. You don't even know who to talk to the extent that even people are afraid. If you report to even some security agencies, they might go and use it against you. So all these things, our government has to look at it in terms of groupings, what do you call them, the klage, the traditional rulers, the politicians, the businessmen, the civil servants. Everybody must be carried along, must be involved, must feel at home, and that is how to run a government at all levels so that people can get the maximum from the people. And it is only with that that the government can be able to fight banditry, to fight even Boko Haram and other criminals that we have today in this country. If you don't do that, the implication is the security agencies will be on their own, and they are very few. And at the end of the day, you find that all is not well. So I think what is important, even before we go to the issue of contest in 2023, we have, on one hand, people will say from now to 23 is a short period of time. It's not. It's a very long time in terms of security. Because if your brother or yourself is killed today or tomorrow, you will realize that 2023 is a very long time. So we have to come and join hands. And the best people really to open up is the government. Government must carry everybody. There is no issue of religion or ethnicity or region or anything. Nigerians are Nigerians. In fact, even those who are not Nigerians, as long as they are within the boundaries of Nigeria, they are Nigerians in terms of protecting them and their properties. So I believe that I will want us to talk more of what is happening, because I know for sure that we have issues everywhere, especially in northern Nigeria today. Especially now in my zone, in the northwestern part of the country, especially areas of epicenter of the trouble, Zamfara State, now Sokoto, Katsina, even Kano. We have issues in Kano. They may not be as pronounced as in other states in the northwest, maybe based on the issues that were being tackled when we were in government. We set up a very formidable team. We created synergy between the army, the air force, the police, the civil defense. Everybody that was wearing uniform was part of us in Kano. And we set up a team that at any given time was willing to respond within few minutes of any crime anywhere in Kano State at that particular time. We motivated them, and of course our children were being motivated, were sent to school, they have got good jobs, and so on and so forth. And that, I believe, is keeping the state safer than other places. And that was why also that the Boko Haram at that particular time tried really to penetrate Kano, but were able to tackle them and stop them. They wanted to make Kano base, and the government and the people that were able to carry at that particular time stopped them. And Kano was a no-go area during the Boko Haram period, especially in 2012, 2013, and so on. And they realized Kano was not the best for them. And even now, I believe that Kano, as it stands today, we have got structures on the ground to tackle them. And I believe that structure should be replicated everywhere in the country. Nobody wants to be killed. Nobody wants to be harmed. And people are ready to cooperate, to work together, but the environment is very important.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you very much indeed.